Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the ALD vlogs. Today we're going to be talking about paperwork, specifically Followspot paperwork. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you liked what you saw or have any comments, questions, or concerns. Let's get started! So I do my spot sheets in Microsoft Excel. As you can see here, I've got it running on my Mac. This is Excel 2016, I believe. So your Excel might look a little bit differently depending on if you have a different year or a different operating system. So this is the spot Q sheet I did for West Side Story at Virginia Rep. As you can see, I've got this done in Excel. There are 3 spots, spot 1, spot 2, and spot 3. I also assigned each spot sort of a set of characters that they would frequently pick up, just to make it really simple. Like whenever Tony's on stage or whenever Bernardo's on stage, spot 1 is the one to pick them up, versus, spot 2 gets Maria whenever she's on stage, and spot 3 gets Riff and Anita whenever they're on stage. It's not a super complicated show, but it does have some tricky moments. But to make things simple, I always like to break it down, make little headers for the different songs and scenes and whatnot. And whenever a spot is not on or doing anything, I always make it gray. But the spots know, okay, it's a quick way for them to know, okay, I don't need to be turned on right now. I always have my defaults for each show, unless otherwise noted. Size is head to waist, time is 3 seconds fading in and fading out, and intensity is at full. And if there's a difference, then I write it down specifically in the size, time, and intensity columns. We didn't have any color for the show, all the spots were no color, so I took out the color column, but if there was a color change in the show, I would have a color column as well. And so basically, I want my spot Q sheet to read very simply, where they can read it left to right like a regular book, and be able to get all the information, starting with the most important thing and ending with the least important thing. So Q number starts off so they can listen to the stage manager call, and then their action, what they do, either pick up, iris, go out, whatnot, to whomever, and then what size. Oh, I put that in the wrong thing, that's funny. That head and shoulders should be in the size column, not in the time column. Anyway, moving on. Pick up whomever, how big, how long, and what intensity they should end at. And then finally I have exactly the placement of where it goes and the page number, which is mostly for me. It reads left to right super simply. In Q108, pick up Bernardo down right at default size and time and intensity. And like Q108 specifically is when Bernardo and Anita run after the jet challenge on page 23. And that sort of keeps it ideally easy to read and easy to follow. I go like that for the rest of the show. I try to put like little standbys in the gray so they can read it and know what's coming versus having to like look up and down at their sheet every single time. So, for example, spot 1, after One Hand, One Heart, their instructions are to stand by for ping pong between the Jets and the Sharks, starting with the other spot on Riff and the Jets. The biggest trick to doing spot paperwork is the paperwork itself. It's not really deciding who gets what, although that is challenging. If you can figure out how to document that both for yourself and for your spot ops, that will ultimately help you figure out who's doing what when, instead of being like, oh, I want spot 3 to do this, but wait, spot 3 is doing something else. And just having clear paperwork is really helpful because 1, it's easier to explain to the spot ops, and 2, it'll help you as well in designing your tracks. And of course, if there's a sub-spot op like we had for this show, it was really easy for them to come in. We have a fabulous electrics intern, or electrics apprentice now, Matt, who helped coach them through the track. He was really excellent in making sure that the spots stick to the paperwork, keep their fades nice and actually 3 seconds. But he was really excellent about following the paperwork and holding them accountable to the paperwork because it's written and because he can say, it does say for you to do this. So good paperwork is very important. Highly recommend it. So I always have a master document that has all 3 spot tracks at the same time, but then I also copy paste each spot track into its own document, and this is what I give the individual spots. I give them each their own track, not I don't give them the master. But I have a master for myself during tech and for the stage manager. We don't have head spots, sort of a spot who calls all the other spots for this show, but if we did, they would have the master as well. So I showed you what my paperwork looks like on the computer, but now I'm going to show you what it looks like printed out. This is the master sheet with all 3 spots, and as you can tell, it's kind of tiny and hard to read. This is basically so it exists in one document. You can read it printed out, or you can view the PDF online, because I always export PDFs because then it makes it really easy to read for, on your phone or anything. But you can read it on the PDF and you can blow it up and you can make it a lot bigger than this is. I realize this is too small to actually read logistically. Like if I had a head spot and they had to read this during the show, we would have problems. But luckily I don't, so I can kind of get away with it. But anyway, it's like this. It's double-sided, as you can see. And one of the important things I like to do with paperwork that I'll show you on this individual spot 1 track sheet is I hate splitting it at the bottom. I always like to split it like not in the middle of a song. So they can read their track and know, like, have one song on one page instead of mid-song having to flip it and go to the next page. So all my starts always start with, this one starts with America, which spot 1 happens to not be doing anything in. But I was doing it like that, and for my headers, as you can see, my camera will focus, I've got prepared by my name and the revision date, the show, page number, and then like a little guide of who the lighting designer and who the assistant are, and then like the cue for the different meanings, like head and shoulders, whole body, etc., etc. And as you can see, BJ Wilkinson was the lighting designer, I was the assistant. BJ is fabulous, I love working with him. We got along great. We had a little fun in tech. It was fun. This track is 4 pages long, but it's also readable from a distance. I mean, maybe not from that far, but like the point is, it's not as small as this. Like you can pick it up and read it, and it's legible. And like just in general, looking at it, the things that draw your eye are the ones in bold. And that's sort of my point, like cue numbers, go with the cue number, like obey the stage manager kind of thing. And if there isn't a cue number that it goes with, like this one is in, you can see it, yep, there we go. It's in another cue, then over here, instead of bolding the cue number, I bold the word that they're supposed to go on. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah. Another thing I like to do with my spot paperwork is I sort of like to match it with the color scheme of the show. So for West Side Story, here is the logo, as seen on my Bible. And then here is my spot paperwork, which is also, I've got the 2-tone red thing going. So, I don't know, sort of keep it thematic. And I did something similar with my spot paperwork for a chorus line, which is sort of a 2-tone creamsicle thing on both the stage manager report and on my cue sheet as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the ALD Vlogs. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below to make sure you don't miss any new videos. See you next time!